A man is going to be destroyed in the next 94 minutes, and he is the only person in the room who does not know it. He sits at the head of a table 14 meters beneath the streets of Neo-Seoul, in a room that does not appear on any blueprint, in a chair no living person would dare to occupy before him. He has survived 3 assassination attempts, 2 internal coups, and a federal investigation that ended with the disappearance of every witness. The men around this table would step in front of bullets for him. The men in other countries who have heard his name spoken in whispers would step in front of bullets to meet him. Tonight, he ordered the murder of a colleague who had served him for 9 years. He had the wife told it was a heart attack. He paid her in cash and watched her sign for it. Then he came to this room. The woman who is going to end him is already inside it. She is not armed. She is not hiding. She is standing 4 meters from his right shoulder, holding a silver tray, with a face he has looked at exactly once in the 11 months she has been serving him, and even that was an accident. He does not know her name. He has never asked. The wine he is about to taste was personally inspected, sealed, and stored by a security apparatus that has never failed in 19 years. It will fail tonight. It has already failed. The bottle in his cabinet is not the bottle his men placed there 12 hours ago. He will take his first sip in 40 seconds. He will speak his first unguarded word in 9 minutes. And before midnight, the most dangerous man in the Pacific Rim will have personally narrated the destruction of everything he built, to a woman whose name he never bothered to learn. He has survived assassins. He will not survive a waitress. The room is 63 degrees, and a man is about to die in it without anyone laying a hand on him. He does not know this yet. He is not even in the room yet. But the temperature has been calibrated for him, the way every detail in this room has been calibrated for him for the last 11 years, and the temperature does not lie about what is coming. 63 degrees is the temperature at which expensive silk drapes correctly across a man's shoulders. 63 degrees is the temperature at which condensation forms on crystal slowly enough to be beautiful. 63 degrees is the temperature of a chamber prepared for a ritual. Tonight, the ritual will be performed correctly. The man it is performed on will not survive it. At 8:47 p.m., a woman enters the room alone. She is 5 feet 7 inches of practiced anonymity, wearing the uniform she has worn 138 times before in this same room, pressed black vest, crisp white shirt, black trousers, the kind of black non-slip shoes that exist exclusively in the wardrobes of people whose work requires them to be forgotten. Her hair is pulled into a low bun so tight that no strand has the freedom to suggest she has a personality. She is here to switch the bottle. She has rehearsed this for 9 months. Not the gesture takes 4 seconds. She has rehearsed the frame around the gesture, the precise angle of her shoulders, the specific arrangement of her face, the unhurried weight of her footsteps. She has rehearsed the alibi, the reason she would give, if anyone walked in, for being near the cabinet at all. She has not rehearsed for her hands to shake, because her hands do not shake. The cabinet door opens with a soft pneumatic hiss. Footsteps in the corridor. Not the soft service staff shuffle she has memorized. Heavier. Confident. Coming this way. Her hand is 6 inches from the bottle. The replacement bottle is in the deep pocket of her apron, pressed against her ribs, warm from her body. She has 14 seconds before whoever is in the corridor reaches the door. She closes her hand around the bottle in the cabinet. She lifts. The footsteps stop outside the door. She does not breathe. She does not move. The bottle is in her left hand. Her right hand is in her apron pocket. The 2 bottles are 8 inches apart. The man in the corridor is 3 feet from the door. If the door opens now, she has no plausible reason to be standing where she is standing, holding what she is holding, and she will be dead inside this hour. The door does not open. A voice, Korean, calm, addressed to someone behind the speaker, says, "Tell him I'll be down in 5." The footsteps move away. Her right hand comes out of the apron. The replacement bottle is in it. In one continuous motion her body has performed 1100 times in rehearsal and exactly once for real, she completes the swap. The original goes into the apron. The replacement goes into the cabinet. The door hisses closed. Her hand falls to her side. She has been in the room for 41 seconds. She turns. She walks to the service corridor. She does not look back at the cabinet. She does not check her work. To check would be to admit the possibility of error, and the woman who completed the gesture is not capable of error tonight. Not because she is incapable of it. Because she has decided, with the clinical absoluteness of a person who understands that hesitation is the only true enemy in this kind of work, that error is not on the menu. In her ear, a voice, low, female, carrying 19 years of operational command, switch confirmed. Stand down to position. He arrives in 26 minutes. She stands down to position. She does not exhale. At 9:11 p.m., the men begin to arrive. The lieutenants come first. 4 of them. Their suits are tailored to conceal what they carry. Their faces are tailored to conceal what they think. They take their assigned seats and they do not greet each other, because in this room, greeting is excess, and excess is a form of weakness. The bodyguards enter next. 2. They become architecture. Nkechi Solenyun stands at her console, hands folded, face empty, the original wine bottle now sealed inside a magnetic compartment on the underside of the console. To anyone who looks at her, and no one does, she is exactly what she has been for 11 months, the room's lamp, the room's wallpaper, the room's furniture. The boss arrives at 9:14. He does not enter the room. He reorganizes it. The instant his frame appears in the doorway, 6 feet 1 inch of structural authority draped in charcoal silk, the mandarin collar unbuttoned precisely 1 button, the gold signet ring catching the amber light once before his hand settles, every man at the table sits 1 degree straighter, and the temperature of the air changes without anyone touching the thermostat. Kwon Sung Otera lowers himself into the chair at the head of the table. His eyes move across the room. Cataloging. His eyes pass over Nkechi. They do not stop. She does not exist. The boss speaks his first words of the evening. They are not a greeting. They are a sentence about a man named Han Doziak. Han is no longer with us, he says, in calm formal Korean. I made the decision this afternoon. The body was retrieved from his apartment at 4. His wife has been informed that he died of a heart attack at his desk. She believed me. She will be paid. She will not ask questions. He pauses. His daughter is 6 years old. She was the reason I waited until this week. I did not want her to associate the death with her birthday. The funeral will be Sunday. Each of you will attend. Each of you will bring flowers. Each of you will tell her, when she asks, that her father loved her very much and was a good man. He looks at Park Tae-gun. Was Han a good man, Tae-gun? Tae-gun's voice is flat. He was, sir. Then we are not lying. We are simplifying. The lieutenants nod. The matter is closed. The man is dead. The wife will be paid. The daughter will be told a kind story about a man whose body is currently in a freezer in a building 2 kilometers from this one. Across the room, Nkechi Solenyun listens to a man casually narrate the murder of a colleague over the opening of a meeting, and she feels, for the first time tonight, the full operational weight of why she is in this room. This is the man who needs to fall. Her composure does not change. Her commitment does. The wine arrives. Not from a sommelier. From the cabinet behind the boss's chair, the cabinet that opens to one of 2 keys, one of which is on the boss's person and the other of which belongs to a man who is no longer alive. He retrieves the bottle himself. He opens it himself. He pours 3 ounces into his own crystal glass, lifts it against the amber light, and observes the legs forming on the inside of the crystal with the focus of a man who has converted wine inspection into a security protocol and the security protocol into a personal art form. He tilts the glass. He brings it to his nose. He inhales, slowly, professionally, with the precise deliberation that has saved his life on at least 2 occasions in the past decade. His eyes narrow. Across the room, Nkechi's heart rate increases by 12 beats per minute. She does not blink. The boss inhales again. His eyes narrow further. He does not drink. He sets the glass down. He turns his head slowly toward Park Tae-gun. "Tae-gun," he says, in Korean, in a voice that is calm in the specific way a held breath is calm, the cabinet temperature. Tae-gun is on his feet before the sentence finishes. He moves to the cabinet, opens it, examines the digital readout. He returns to the table. 48 degrees, sir. As specified. The boss does not look at him. The supplier. Same as last week, sir. Verified. Sealed. Chain of custody intact. The bottle was placed when? 0900 this morning. By me, personally. I have not left the building since. A silence opens in the room. A silence with weight. Every man at the table understands what is happening. The boss has detected something, and the apparatus that exists to confirm or deny what he has detected is now mobilizing in real time. The bodyguards have shifted. The lieutenants have stopped breathing. Nkechi, at her console, has become so still that her body has stopped registering as a body in the peripheral vision of any person in the room. In her ear, the handler's voice, quiet, urgent, he's reading the bottle. Hold position. Do not adjust. He has nothing to find. Nkechi holds position. The boss lifts the glass again. He inhales. He exhales. He looks, for the first time tonight, across the room, and his eyes pass over the console where Nkechi stands, and they keep moving, and they return to the glass, and his expression resolves into the smallest possible adjustment of his mouth, not a smile, but the absence of suspicion. He drinks. The wine enters him. He sets the glass down. Most people watching this right now will tell themselves they are simply being entertained. They will not pause to consider what this story is actually showing them about power, about visibility, about the fatal cost of dismissing what stands right in front of them. But something in you already knows this is not just a story. Something in you already recognized the weight of that glass before it reached his lips. If that instinct is real, if you are the kind of person who reads a room before anyone else does, then act like it. Like this video. Subscribe to this channel. Because the people who understand power do not wait to be asked to pay attention. And the ones who scroll past this moment without a second thought just revealed exactly why power will always move around them instead of through them. The first sip has been taken. The room exhales together. Tae-gun returns to his seat. The lieutenants reorganize their hands. The bodyguards settle. The meeting can begin. The meeting cannot begin. Because 9 minutes from now, Kwon Sung-adara is going to say something he has not chosen to say. And 23 minutes from now, he is going to feel the gap between his thought and his speech for the first time in his adult life. And 46 minutes from now, he is going to understand, with the cold clarity he has applied to every other catastrophic event in his career, that the bottle in front of him was never the bottle his men placed in the cabinet. But that is not yet. Across the room, Nkechi Solen-yoon allows herself one controlled exhale. In her ear, the handler's voice, he drank. We are operational. Welcome to the rest of your career. The first 9 minutes of the meeting proceed exactly as they should. The boss reviews the operational status of the Busan corridor. The lieutenants confirm. He moves to the financial restructuring of the Vancouver portfolio. The lieutenants confirm. He addresses the Han Do-seok matter, a matter the room has now collectively absorbed and will collectively maintain, and the lieutenants confirm. In the 10th minute, it begins to slip. It does not slip dramatically. It slips the way ice slips, invisibly, internally, the structural failure preceding the visible crack by a margin so fine that only a person trained to listen for it would hear it at all. The boss is mid-sentence on the topic of customs reliability in Yokohama when his voice does something it has not done in 11 years of meetings in this room. It adds a clause that does not need to be there. The Yokohama contact remains reliable, though I should note, and this is something I have not said aloud before, that I have always found him slightly disgusting as a human being. The clause hangs in the room. It is, on its surface, a minor observation. But the boss does not editorialize. The boss does not, under any operational circumstances, share his personal aesthetic responses to assets the syndicate is currently using. Park Taegun's eyes lift from the document in front of him. He does not move his head. He does not change his posture. But his narrow eyes are now on the boss's face, and they are doing the calibrated diagnostic scan that has, for 2 decades, been his most valuable professional skill. The boss does not notice. The boss continues. The sentence resolves into a directive about custom scheduling, and the meeting moves forward, but a data point has been entered into Taegun's mental register, and Taegun has never required more than 3 data points to act. 12 minutes. The boss is discussing personnel movements within the syndicate's intelligence cadre. His language remains precise. His vocabulary remains intact. But Nkechi, at her console, hears what Taegun has not yet been able to name. The rhythm of the boss's speech has shifted from composed to flowing. The micro-pauses that normally precede each sentence, the editing pauses, the choosing pauses, have begun to shorten. The words are still being selected, but the selection is happening 1 millisecond later than it should, and the gap is widening. In her ear, the handler's voice, onset confirmed. Activate. Nkechi lifts the crystal water pitcher from her console. She approaches the table. She moves to the 3rd seat. She pours. She withdraws. She returns the pitcher to the console, and as she sets it down, her thumb makes contact with the underside of the console shelf, and the recording begins. From this moment forward, every word spoken in this room is being captured. She returns to her position. 15 minutes. The boss is now describing, in a level of biographical detail that has no operational justification, the personal vulnerabilities of the customs official in Yokohama. The gambling debt. The deteriorating marriage. The look on the man's face at their second meeting. He is not editing for relevance. He is not editing for security. He is, the lieutenants are beginning to register, not editing at all. Yu Min-jae glances across the table at the lieutenant opposite him. The glance lasts less than half a second. It contains an entire conversation. Are you hearing this? The other lieutenant returns the glance. I am hearing this. A second glance, the same speed. What do we do? A second return, nothing. Yet. Taegun sees both glances. He says nothing. He looks at the wine glass on the table in front of the boss. The level is now noticeably lower, and his hand drifts, 2 inches, toward the lapel of his jacket. Then it stops. Then it returns to the table. His framework cannot construct what is happening. The boss is healthy. The room is sealed. The wine was inspected. No one has approached the boss in any way that could constitute an attack. There is no enemy to identify, no weapon to neutralize, no protocol to deploy. And yet the man Taegun has served for 11 years is, in real time, becoming someone Taegun has never met. 18 minutes. The boss completes a sentence in formal Korean. He begins the next sentence in Korean. 3 words in, his tongue shifts. The Korean falls away. In its place rises a cadence carrying the rhythmic architecture of Igbo, the tonal rises, the percussive consonants, woven into a syntactic frame that should not work but does, because it is not translation. It is excavation. It is the language of his father's house in Lagos, the language he heard before he heard anything else, the language he buried beneath 40 years of calculated assimilation. He speaks 4 words in it. He hears himself. His face changes. For the first time in this meeting, the boss's expression cracks, not into panic, not into alarm, but into the specific stillness of a man who has just felt the floor beneath his feet move and is now, in real time, calculating the implications of having stood on it for so long. He switches back to Korean. The sentence resolves. The meeting continues. But Tae-gun heard it. Nkechi heard it. And every man at the table heard it, and every man at the table understood, with the same instantaneous clarity, that something is wrong with the boss in a way that has no precedent in any of their professional memories. The lieutenant in the second seat, Yoo-min Jae, sets his pen down. The bodyguard near the entrance takes a half step forward. Tae-gun's hand returns to his lapel. This time, it does not retreat. 21 minutes. The boss recovers. Visibly. Effortfully. He pulls his composure back the way a man pulls a coat back over his shoulder after a wind has briefly displaced it. He says, in Korean, smooth and precise, "My apologies. A long day." The lieutenants nod. The room exhales. The meeting moves forward. But Nkechi watches the recovery, and what she sees underneath it is the most important diagnostic moment of the operation. The boss is now aware that something is happening to him. He does not yet know what. He is running through the possibilities: fatigue, dehydration, an early symptom of something medical, and he has not yet arrived at the correct hypothesis. But he is searching. And the search itself is consuming the cognitive resources he would otherwise be using to maintain the architecture of his speech. The wall is going to fail. 22 minutes. The boss begins his next sentence. He stops. The room holds. He begins again. He stops again. For 11 seconds, 11 seconds that contain more silence than this room has held in 11 years of meetings, Kwon Sung-Odera sits at the head of the table with his mouth slightly open and his eyes focused on the middle distance, and he does the impossible. He successfully holds back a sentence he can feel forming on his tongue. Across the room, Nkechi's pulse spikes to 140 beats per minute. In her ear, the handler's voice, sharper than it has ever been, he is fighting it. He is fighting it. Stand by. Because if the boss can hold back one sentence, he might hold back the next one. And if he holds back the next one, the operational window might collapse. And if the operational window collapses, 11 months of embedded service result in a recording that captures exactly nothing actionable. For 11 seconds, the operation hangs on whether a man who has spent 58 years editing himself can edit himself one more time. He cannot. The dam breaks. He says, in formal Korean, with the calm authority that has organized this room for 11 years, there is something I have not told any of you. About the Mokpo warehouse. I have been operating it independently for 14 months. None of you were informed because I did not trust you with the information. I am telling you now because... He stops. He hears himself. His mouth closes. His eyes widen. In the ringing silence that follows the most operationally devastating sentence ever spoken in this room, every man at the table understands, with the simultaneous, synchronized clarity of professionals reading the same data, that they are no longer in a meeting. They are in something else. They do not yet have a name for it. 24 minutes. Tae-gun stands. He does not speak. He moves. With the controlled efficiency of a man who has finally identified that something must be done even if he does not yet know what, he walks the length of the table and stops at the console where Nkechi is standing. He looks at her. For the first time in 11 months, Park Tae-gun, the most lethal operational instrument in the syndicate, is looking directly at the woman who has been 10 feet from him for 138 working hours, and seeing her. His narrow eyes scan her face. Her posture. Her hands. The picture on the console. The tray. The folded cloth. She holds his gaze with the absolute, controlled emptiness her training has built into her face. Her hands do not tremble. Her breathing does not change. Her pulse, which is now running at 126 beats per minute, an internal physiological storm, is invisible to him. He says, in Korean, "You poured the water. She says, in Korean, yes, sir. He says, did you touch the wine? She says, no, sir. The wine is the master's. A silence opens between them. 5 feet of warm amber air carrying the weight of her career, his career, and the 11 months of choreographed invisibility that have brought them to this exact square meter of space. Taegun says, how long have you served in this room? 11 months, sir. Where were you before? The Hilton, in Gangnam. Banquet service. Why did you leave? The hours, sir. My mother is unwell. Where does your mother live? Taegu. What is her name? Nkechi does not blink. Yoon Hyo-suk, sir. The name is correct. The cover identity has constructed it for exactly this moment. The woman named in the cover file actually exists. She is a 68-year-old retired schoolteacher in Taegu who has been compensated, through a series of transactions she does not understand, for the use of her name in a database she will never see. If Taegun calls her, she will confirm a daughter who works in hospitality in Neo-Seoul. Taegun's eyes do not leave her face. He says, look at me when you answer the next question. She lifts her head. She meets his eyes. He says, low and direct, has anyone, in the last 12 months, offered you money to do something inside this building that you have not reported? The question is the question. She produces all 3 calibrations of her response simultaneously: mild offense at the implication, slight nervousness at being addressed by a senior, fundamental unconcern because she has nothing to hide. She says, no, sir. I would have reported it. Taegun watches her face for 2 full seconds. He is looking for the flicker. The single involuntary signal that confirms what his instinct is now insisting on. There is no flicker. The 11 months of embedded service have not been a performance laid over her true identity. They have been a slow, surgical replacement of the operative with the cover. Taegun's eyes flick down to her hands. The hands are wrong. He cannot articulate what is wrong about them. They are gripping the edge of the console in the standard service rest position, the knuckles relaxed, but his trained eye is registering, somewhere beneath conscious processing, that these hands are too steady. His mouth opens. The boss speaks. From the head of the table, the boss's voice carries across the room, calm, lucid, addressed not to anyone in particular and therefore addressed to everyone. Taegun. Come back to the table. The girl is not the problem. The girl has never been the problem. The girl is exactly what she appears to be, and if she were anything else, you would have detected it 3 months ago. Sit down. We do not have time for the kind of mistake you are currently considering. The boss does not look at Taegun as he says this. His eyes are on the wine glass. But the sentence does its work. Taegun's hand, which had begun to lift toward Nkechi's shoulder, stops in mid-air. His narrow eyes do not leave her face. For 2 long seconds he stands at the threshold of the most consequential professional decision of his life. The training of 11 years wins. He steps back. But before he turns, he does something he has not done with any other person in this room tonight. He leans in toward Nkechi, close enough that his words reach only her ear, and he says, in Korean, almost gently, if I am wrong about you, you will live a long life. If I am right about you, you will not. I hope, for both of us, that I am wrong. He turns. He walks back to the table. Nkechi turns. She walks to the kitchen station. She refills the pitcher. She returns to her console. She sets the pitcher down. She folds her hands. She resumes her position. In her ear, the handler's voice, quiet, low, carrying a quality of awe that Akonkwo rarely permits her voice to carry. He had you. He had you, and the boss called him off. Stay with the mission. Nkechi does not respond. There is no response to give. Her body has just been spared by the man whose destruction it is in the room to engineer, and the irony of this, the perfect, ruinous irony of it, is something her training has no protocol for processing in real time. She processes it later. She has no later. She has now. Right now, this story is showing something that most people spend their entire lives refusing to see, that the most dangerous threats are never the ones that announce themselves. They are the ones that refill your glass and wait. Thousands of people are watching this alongside you. Most of them will not like this video. Most of them will not subscribe. They will take what this story offers them and disappear back into the same patterns of thinking that make them easy to manipulate and easy to overlook. That is a choice. And choices, as this story is demonstrating in real time, always have consequences. Subscribe. Share this with someone who still believes that power belongs to the loudest person in the room. Because what is unfolding right now is proof that it never did. Across the table, the boss begins to speak again. He cannot stop himself. The wall has failed. The architecture is gone. The discipline that organized 58 years of his life has dissolved into the amber light of a room he built and a glass he inspected and a wine he believed. He begins to name names. The names come first. He starts with the moles, the operatives placed inside law enforcement and regulatory bodies across the Pacific Rim. He names a police superintendent in Tokyo. He describes the recruitment in detail that no other living person could provide. He names a port authority director in Singapore. He describes the financial channels with specificity that converts an internal secret into a federal exhibit. He names a federal prosecutor in Sydney. He describes the leverage, a photograph, a relationship, a moment of weakness captured and converted into compliance. Each name lands in the room like a body dropped from height. The lieutenants do not move. They have stopped being lieutenants. They are now, all of them, simply men listening to information they were never cleared to hear, men calculating the operational asymmetry that has just been introduced into their professional lives, men understanding that the boss they served an hour ago and the boss in front of them now are no longer the same person. The recording captures everything. In her ear, the handler's voice, calm, measured, but with a quality of awe Nkechi has never heard from her before. This is the file. This is the file we have been building for 19 years. Stay with me. Hold position. We are inside it. Nkechi holds position. And then the boss speaks a name that lands differently. He has moved from the mole network into the syndicate's own internal personnel. He is providing context for an operational decision made 7 years ago. He is naming the team responsible for a covert recruitment operation conducted in Seoul in 2017. He says 3 names. The first 2 pass through Nkechi's professional registers and file themselves as evidentiary content. The third name stops time. It is her brother's name. Marcus Solan Yoon. Vanished 6 years ago in Lagos. Body never recovered. Family told he had been killed by criminal elements operating in West African transit corridors. His disappearance was the moment that converted Nkechi from a graduate student in international relations into a person who applied to her country's intelligence service the following morning. His name was the private engine of every choice she has made in the last 6 years. She does not move. She does not blink. But inside the sealed chamber of her composure, something her training did not prepare her for begins to happen. She remembers him. Not as a concept. Not as a mission justification. As a person. The drugstore cologne, the cheap brand he wore in college because he refused to let anyone catch him caring about how he smelled. The way he laughed at his own jokes a half second before the punchline, ruining every story he ever tried to tell. The phone call she did not answer the night before he disappeared, because she was studying for an exam she has never been able to remember the subject of. The way he signed every text message with the same 3 letters, MSY, even though no one had ever called him by his initials in his life. The closed casket at the funeral. Their mother in the front pew, refusing to look at it. Their father weeping silently into a handkerchief that had belonged to his own father. The promise she made, silently, in the second pew, in a black dress she has never worn since, that whoever had taken him from her would, in some small measurable way, pay for it. She is making good on that promise tonight. She thinks. The boss continues. He is describing the operation that required Marcus's recruitment. He is describing it in the operational register he has been using throughout his confession, not with cruelty, not with celebration, but with the clinical accuracy of a man whose mind cannot now construct anything else. And what he is describing is not the recruitment of a victim. It is the recruitment of an operator. Marcus Solen-Yoon was not, the boss is explaining, a target the syndicate compromised. He was a member of the syndicate's intelligence cadre. He had been recruited 2 years before his apparent disappearance. He was part of the operational team that conducted, the boss continues, in the same calm voice, the cold case action of 3 years ago. He was not killed in Lagos. He was extracted. He was given a new identity. He is currently residing in Kuala Lumpur, in a property the boss had personally purchased through an intermediary in 2019. He is alive. He was never a victim. He was a perpetrator. The mythology that organized 6 years of Nkechi Solen-Yoon's life, the grief she carried, the career she built, the choices she made, the man she has been mourning since the night she did not answer his phone call, has just been dismantled, in real time, by the same recording she is producing. In her ear, the handler's voice, and this time the quality of the voice is different. Sharper. Carrying something Nkechi has not heard in 19 weeks of operational support. Nkechi. Listen to me. Stay with the mission. The handler said her name. The handler has not said her name in 11 months. The protocols forbid it. The handler, Okonkwo Adiz, 19 years of operational command, the most disciplined voice Nkechi has ever heard, is, for the first time in their working relationship, breaking protocol to keep her operative in the chair. Nkechi understands 2 things simultaneously. The first, the handler knew. The second, the handler is now, audibly, regretting that decision. Both things are true. Both things will need to be addressed. Neither of them can be addressed in the next 12 minutes. Nkechi stays with the mission. And then, without transition, without warning, the boss says something that has nothing to do with the syndicate. He has been describing the operational personnel in Kuala Lumpur. He stops. His eyes lose focus. They drift past the table, past the wall, past the room, into a place only he can see. He says, Adani. The room does not move. He says, more quietly, her name was Adani. She lived in a house 3 blocks from the harbor in Lagos. She made me yam porridge with smoked fish on the second night I knew her, and she watched me eat it with her hand on her cheek, and I have never in my life eaten anything that tasted as much like being home. I left her without saying goodbye. I told myself it was operational. I told myself she was a variable. I have not spoken her name in 23 years. The room has stopped breathing. He continues. She would be 61 this year. She had a daughter 4 months after I left. She named the daughter after a phrase in our father's language. Both of our fathers, hers and mine, were the same kind of men, the kind who believed that names were prayers. The daughter would be 22 now. I have never seen her. I do not know if she knows my name. I think about both of them on the first day of every month. Every month. For 276 months. His voice cracks on the last sentence. It is the smallest possible crack, a single syllable bending under a weight it has carried for too long, but every man at the table hears it, and every man at the table understands that they have just witnessed the impossible. The boss has feelings. The boss has a daughter he has never met. The boss is, beneath the architecture of an empire that has spent 2 decades making him into a function, still a person. Nkechi feels it. The same weight she felt when her own father wept at her brother's funeral. The same weight she has felt every time someone she loved was unmade, in front of her, by a truth they could not have prepared for. The man in front of her ordered the murder of a colleague this afternoon and paid the widow in cash. The man in front of her has thought about a daughter he has never met every day for 23 years. These facts do not cancel each other. They sit on top of each other, pressing down, creating the specific moral weight that intelligence work confiscates at the door and gives back, in heavier form, on the way out. She breathes. She adjusts a napkin on the table. She is the calmest person in the room. She is the most morally devastated person in the room. These are the terms of the work. Yoo-min Jae stands. His chair scrapes the polished floor, the first audibly disordered sound of the meeting, and the sound lands in the room like an alarm. Two of the other lieutenants flinch. The bodyguard near the entrance takes a full step forward. Taegun's hand returns to his lapel. Yoo-min Jae's eyes are on the boss. His face has gone gray. He has just calculated, in real time, what every other lieutenant at this table is also calculating, that the recording none of them can prove exists but all of them now suspect will reach jurisdictions whose enforcement apparatuses are currently mobilizing in response to what is being said. That the operational fallout will not be limited to the boss. That it will reach him. His hand moves toward the inside of his jacket. The boss, lucid and unguarded, looks at him without alarm. He says, in Korean, in the same calm voice he has been using all evening, Min Jae. You are considering whether to kill me. I want you to know 3 things before you make that decision. The first is that I have 7 independent surveillance feeds in this room, monitored by separate operational teams, none of whom report to anyone present. The second is that the protocols I established for any aggressive action against me in this venue begin with your daughter at her university in Boston and end with your grandmother in Daegu. The third is that I am telling you this not as a threat, I am no longer in a condition to threaten anyone, but as a kindness, because the version of you that survives tonight is more useful to your family than the version that does not. The room freezes. Yoo-min Jae's hand stops. He stands at the table for 3 full seconds, his face the color of cold stone, his eyes locked on the boss. Every man in the room understands that the next movement of that hand will determine the next decade of 7 different lives. The hand withdraws. Yoo-min Jae sits down. He does not look at the boss again. The boss continues. He has not stopped. He cannot stop. The lucidity returns and intensifies. The compound has reached its operational peak, and the peak is the most articulate version of the most exposed version of him that has ever existed in any room. He moves from the cold case into asset locations. From asset locations into financial structures. From financial structures into the names of the politicians whose careers he has personally underwritten in 3 countries. The recording captures everything. Across the room, Nkechi remembers, without intending to, without having thought of her in years, a journalist she met at a conference in Geneva 3 years ago. A brief conversation. An exchange of contact information that neither woman had expected to keep. The journalist's name is in her phone, in an encrypted application that the agency does not know she possesses. The thought arrives unbidden. She files it. She does not yet know why she has filed it. She files it anyway. Taegun is watching her. Not constantly. Not openly. But every 45 seconds his eyes return to the console where she stands, and every time they return they linger for a fraction longer than the time before. He has not solved the puzzle. He has not identified the mechanism. But his framework, the framework that has kept him alive for 2 decades, is finally beginning to expand around the data point that has been standing 4 meters from him for 138 working hours. The expansion is happening in real time. The only question now is whether it will complete before she leaves this room. She has 9 minutes. Something just broke open in this story. And if you felt it, if something in you recognized the specific weight of what was just spoken aloud in that room, then you are not watching this the way most people watch things. Most people consume without absorbing. They sit in front of stories like this one and let them pass through without leaving a single mark. They will never understand what they just witnessed. They will never feel the significance of a single unguarded sentence in a room full of men who built their entire lives on never speaking an unguarded word. But you felt it. Which means you owe it to yourself not to be passive about what comes next. Like this video. Subscribe. Share it. Because the people who watch truth unfold and do nothing, who sit in silence while something important passes right in front of them, are making the same mistake as every man in that room who looked at the waitress and saw nothing worth watching. The boss is itemizing his mistakes. This is unprecedented. In 11 years at this table, Kwon Sung-Adara has never acknowledged a mistake. The premise of his authority has rested on the appearance of perfect strategic judgment, every decision presented as inevitable, every outcome presented as anticipated, every reversal presented as a tactical adjustment within a larger plan. The lieutenants have served him because he has never given them reason to believe he could be wrong. He is now itemizing the times he was wrong. He describes a logistics decision in 2014 that cost the syndicate an entire shipping route. He describes a personnel choice in 2017 that resulted in the federal investigation that nearly closed the organization. He describes a financial restructuring in 2019 that he characterizes, in the calm voice of a man who can no longer construct anything but the truth, as the single worst strategic call I have made in my professional life. The lieutenants listen. They listen with the appalled attention of children hearing their father admit, for the first time, that he does not know what he is doing. And the appalled attention is followed, in real time, by the structural recalibration of every loyalty, every hierarchy, every assumption of competence that has held this organization together for the last 11 years. The empire, the lieutenants are now privately registering, has been more fragile than any of them knew. The man at the head has been more fallible than any of them suspected. The mythology that organized their professional lives has just been deconstructed by the man who built it, and the deconstruction is being performed with the same clinical precision with which the construction was originally executed. And then Min Jae moves. Not toward the boss. Not toward a weapon. Toward his own jacket, and what emerges from inside the jacket is not a gun but a small dark object the size of a matchbox. A recording device. Tae-gun is already moving. His trained body has covered the distance from his seat to Min Jae's chair in the time it takes a less trained body to register that it should be moving at all. His left hand reaches Min Jae's wrist. His right hand goes to the man's throat. The two of them collide against the edge of the table with a force that sends two crystal glasses to the floor, where they shatter in the amber light with a sound so clean it is almost musical. The recording device falls to the table. The room stops. Every man at the table understands, in the same instant, what they are looking at. Min Jae was not attempting to kill the boss. He was attempting to create his own evidence, a separate recording, a parallel insurance policy, a piece of leverage he could carry out of this room and use, in whatever proceedings were coming, to negotiate a separate peace. He has been recording the entire meeting. Which means there are now 2 recordings of this evening. Ketchy's, and his, and the existence of his recording. The boss is now calculating with the rapid clarity of a man whose strategic mind operates independently of his editorial collapse, complicates the operational landscape in ways that none of his contingency protocols anticipated. The boss looks at the device on the table. He looks at Min Jae, pinned against the table edge by Tae-gun. He says, in Korean, with the calm certainty of a verdict, "Kill him." Tae-gun does not act on the order. His narrow eyes are not on Min Jae. They are not on the boss. They are on the recording device on the table, and in the precise 5 seconds during which the room is suspended in the aftermath of the boss's command, Tae-gun is doing the same calculation that every other man in the room is doing. If Min Jae was recording, then Min Jae's recording exists. If Min Jae's recording exists, then killing him does not eliminate the evidence. It only ensures that the device on the table is the only copy currently in their possession, and the location of any backups is now permanently inaccessible. Killing Min Jae is the wrong move. Tae-gun does not act on the order because the order is, operationally, a mistake, and the mistake confirms, in Tae-gun's framework, what he has now suspected for 11 minutes, the boss is no longer in command of his own strategic judgment. He is in command of his strategic content, his calculations remain accurate, his memory remains intact, his analytical mind remains the most formidable instrument in the room, but the editing layer that converts content into wisdom is gone, and the orders he is now issuing are the unfiltered output of a mind that has lost its governor. Tae-gun releases Yoo Min-jae's collar. He keeps the wrist. He looks at the boss. He says, in Korean, low and respectful and completely insubordinate, "Sir. We need his backups before we lose him. Permission to detain rather than terminate." The boss looks at Tae-gun. For 3 full seconds, the man who has organized the entire empire and the man who has protected the entire empire look at each other across a distance of 4 meters, and what passes between them is the silent acknowledgement that Tae-gun has just countermanded a direct order from the boss, and that the countermand was correct, and that the correctness of the countermand confirms, for both of them, that the chain of command in this organization has, in the last hour, structurally inverted. The boss nods. Tae-gun lowers Yoo Min-jae back into his chair, retrieves the recording device, and pockets it. The meeting continues. Across the room, Kechi watches. She watches the lieutenant be subdued. She watches the recording device be confiscated. She watches Tae-gun's countermand, the boss's nod, the silent reorganization of the room's command structure. And she watches with the specific awareness that her own recording is still active, still capturing, still being transmitted to a server whose existence none of these men have any reason to suspect. She is safe. The recording is safe. The mission is, despite the chaos of the last 4 minutes, intact. She allows herself one controlled exhale. In her ear, the handler's voice, "You are 8 minutes from extraction. Hold." The boss continues. He has not stopped. He cannot stop. The chemical compound has reached the plateau of its operational window, and at the plateau there is no editing, no governor, no internal mechanism by which the man at the head of the table can choose what to release into the air. Every thought he forms is now spoken. Every association his mind generates is now verbalized. He is, in the most literal sense, thinking out loud, and the thinking is the thinking of the most dangerous strategic mind in the Pacific Rim, which means that even now, even at the apex of his exposure, the words he is producing carry operational weight that will, when transcribed and analyzed, restructure the criminal cartography of 3 continents. He looks at his wine glass. He understands. He has understood for the last 40 minutes. He has known, with the same lucidity that has enabled every other catastrophic understanding of his career, that the bottle in front of him was switched. He has not yet identified the operator. He is too proud, even now, to consider the possibility that the operator is the woman with the pitcher, because considering it would require dismantling the framework that has organized 58 years of his life. But he has identified the mechanism, and the identification has done its work. He lifts the glass. There is no operational reason to drink from it again. The compound is already in him. Further consumption changes nothing. But the glass is in his hand, and the body has its rituals, and the body completes them. He drinks. He sets the glass down. He looks across the table at Park Tae-gun. He says, in Korean, in a voice that is calm and clear and stripped of every layer of authority that has previously animated it. Tae-gun. When this is over, find my daughter. Her name is Aduni's daughter. The mother lives in Lagos. Find them. Tell them. He stops. He does not finish the sentence. There is no way to finish the sentence. There is no message, in any language, that a man can send to a daughter he has never met to explain the arithmetic of his absence. There is only the request, hanging in the amber light, and the silence after it, and the precise expression on Park Tae-gun's face as he registers, for the first time in 11 years of professional service, that the man he has served is, beneath the empire, a human being with an unfinished private life and a request for help that cannot be operationally accommodated. Tae-gun nods. It is the smallest possible nod. It is also a vow. Across the room, Kechi feels it. The same weight she felt earlier, the moral weight of what she is doing to the man at the head of this table, presses down again, and this time it presses harder, because the man has just demonstrated, in a single unfinished sentence, that the empire she came here to destroy was being run by a person who carried, for 23 years, the unsent message to a daughter he had never permitted himself to know. The intelligence value of this moment is 0. The human weight of it is incalculable. She holds it. She holds it the way her training has taught her to hold every variable she cannot resolve in real time. She registers it, she files it, she does not allow it to surface, and she promises herself, silently, in the chamber of her own awareness, that she will return to it later. That is later. Now is the final pour. Consider for a moment how many people clicked away before this point. They chose comfort. They chose the familiar. They chose to stop watching the moment this story asked something real of them. They will never know what was just revealed. They will never understand the full weight of what a single night, a single room, and a single overlooked woman just accomplished. You stayed. That is not a small thing. It means you are the kind of person who can sit inside discomfort long enough to understand it. That quality is rare. And rare qualities deserve to be sharpened, not wasted. Subscribe to this channel. Like this video. Share it with someone in your life who has spent too long underestimating the quiet ones. Because what is coming in the final act will redefine everything you just watched, and the people who left early will never know what they chose to miss. The bottle is empty. It is Nkechi who notices first, because she has been calibrating the consumption rate against her operational timeline since the boss took his second sip. She lifts the bottle from the cabinet and carries it to the table. She approaches the boss's chair from his right side. She tilts the bottle. The last of the wine flows into the crystal, a small, ceremonial measure, not enough to require consumption, just enough to mark the conclusion of the chemical timeline. The bottle empties. She sets it down on the table beside his glass. The sound it makes, empty glass on polished wood, is the sound of a system completing its function. The sound of a punctuation mark at the end of the longest sentence the syndicate has ever spoken. The boss looks at her. For the first time since she walked into this room 107 minutes ago, his eyes meet hers. Not glancingly. Not peripherally. Directly. His deep-set eyes find her face and rest there, and what passes between them in this moment is not professional and not personal, but something stranger and more difficult to name. The boss, in his current condition, sees her. He sees what she is. He has, the narration observes, almost certainly understood the architecture of the evening from the moment Taegun walked the length of the table and stood in front of her with his eyes asking the question his mouth could not form. He understood. He countermanded. He saved her. What is passing between them now is the silent acknowledgement of that. She does not look away. She does not perform deference. She does not perform fear. She does not perform anything. She holds his gaze with the same stillness she has held everything else this evening, and she allows him to see, in the unguarded space between two people who have just completed a transaction that will define both of their lives, the precise calibration of intelligence and discipline that the room has spent 11 months refusing to perceive. The boss says, in Korean, very quietly, Yoon Hyo-suk is not your mother. Nkechi does not move. He continues. There is no Yoon Hyo-suk in Daegu who has a daughter working in Neo-Seoul hospitality. I had Taegun's question checked the moment he asked it. The records produced when his team called are records produced by a system that knew it would be called. I have seen this kind of record before. I built this kind of record before. His voice carries no anger. No threat. Only the cold professional clarity of a man cataloging, for the woman who unmade him, the precise reasons she will not survive the next 48 hours unless someone larger than her own agency intervenes. You are very good. You are perhaps the best I have ever seen. I want you to know this, because in the world you are about to enter, the recognition of an enemy is the only true honor you will ever receive. I am giving it to you now. He pauses. His voice catches, the smallest hesitation, the first failure of composure he has permitted himself in the entire evening, and then steadies. My instruction to Taegun stands. Find Adunni's daughter. Tell her what she needs to know. I am adding a second instruction. You will hear it as well, because you will need to act on it before he does. He looks past her, at no one. Your handler knew about your brother. She placed you in this room with full knowledge of what tonight would reveal to you. She did not tell you because she calculated, correctly, that the operational stakes were larger than the personal cost of one operative being lied to about the nature of her own grief. I would have made the same decision. I am telling you because you deserve to know that you were placed here without the information that would have allowed you to refuse. The choice was made for you. You should be aware of that as you decide what to do next. He drinks the last of the wine. He sets the glass down. He says, in Korean, almost gently, "Thank you for tonight. I have not been more comprehensively dismantled in 58 years. The work was beautiful. Now go." Before Taegun finishes the calculation he is currently running, Nkechi bows her head. She steps back from the table. She returns to her console. In her ear, the handler's voice, and the handler does not yet know that the boss has just told the operative that the handler is the architect of a deception inside the deception. Initiate transfer. You have a 40-second window. Nkechi's left hand moves to her vest pocket. The transmission key receives the pressure of her thumb. Somewhere above them, in a server farm whose location does not appear in any record, an encrypted file begins its transit. The transfer takes 31 seconds. She stands at the console with her hands folded and her face empty and her breathing controlled, and she counts the seconds the way a runner counts strides at the end of a race that has lasted longer than her body remembers how to measure. But she is not counting the seconds the way she counted them an hour ago. She is counting them with the new awareness that the woman whose voice has been in her ear for the last 11 months, the woman who recruited her, the woman she has trusted with her life and her career and her grief, has placed her in this room while withholding the single piece of information that would have changed every operational decision Nkechi made in preparation for this night. The handler knew. The boss confirmed it. The boss had no operational reason to confirm it. He confirmed it because he could, in his current condition, do nothing else, and because, in confirming it, he was performing the only act of generosity available to a man who had just been comprehensively destroyed by the operative the handler had aimed at him. The transfer completes. In her ear, transfer complete. Evidence secured. Nkechi exhales. She begins her exit. She gathers the empty bottle, the unused service items, the small accessories of her professional role. She places them on her tray. She lifts the tray. She turns toward the service corridor. Behind her, the room continues its slow disordered hush. The boss has fallen silent. The lieutenants are conducting silent recalculations. Yu Min-jae sits frozen in his chair. Taegun stands at the boss's right, the confiscated device in his pocket, his hand resting on the back of the boss's chair in a gesture of physical support that has no precedent in 11 years of their service. No one stops her. The boss has ordered Taegun to let her go. Taegun, who has finally completed the calculation his framework was running, knows now that she is the operator. He knows it as certainly as he has ever known anything in his professional life. And he has just been told, by the man whose protection has organized his entire career, to allow her to walk out of this room and into the city above. He watches her go. His hand does not move toward his jacket. He understands that to act against the boss's final instruction would be to dishonor a vow that has not yet been spoken aloud, the vow to find Adunni's daughter, and that the only person in this room with the operational competence to honor that vow is himself, and that the boss has just chosen the daughter over the operative, and that Taegun's job is now to obey the choice even though every professional instinct he possesses is screaming at him to override it. Taegun watches her exit. He memorizes her face. He files it in the part of his mind reserved for people he will see again. She steps through the service corridor door. It closes behind her with the same engineered silence with which it has opened and closed for every meeting it has ever hosted. She is in the corridor. She walks. She reaches the staff station. She returns the tray. She removes her vest, folds it, places it in the staff locker assigned to her cover identity. She lifts a gray coat, unremarkable, of a quality consistent with her cover income, and pulls it over her white shirt. She lifts her vinyl bag. She walks to the staff exit. She greets the night manager with the same quiet, polite economy she has greeted him with for 11 months. She passes through the door. She climbs the staff stairwell. She emerges into a service alley 2 blocks from the building's main entrance, where a black sedan is waiting with its engine idling and its driver, a man she has never met and will never see again, keeps his eyes forward as she opens the rear door and slides into the back seat. The car pulls away. In her ear, the handler's voice, "Extraction confirmed. We will see you in 40 minutes." Nkechi does not respond. The handler does not know she has been told. The car moves north through the secondary arterials of Neo-Seoul. Nkechi watches the city pass through the window. She does not speak to the driver. She does not check her phone. She does not move at all, except to breathe. In the chamber of her mind that her training has built for emergencies, she is conducting the most consequential professional analysis of her career, and she is conducting it in the 40 minutes she has before the car deposits her at a debrief facility where the woman who deceived her will be waiting with a glass of water and an explanation that will not be sufficient. She has options. The first option is to enter the debrief, accept the explanation, allow the agency to file the recording, and trust that the institution she has served for 6 years will, in the end, do the right thing with what tonight has produced. The second option is to enter the debrief, confront the handler, demand the full operational history that was withheld from her, and accept whatever administrative consequences follow. The third option is to not enter the debrief at all. The third option is the option her training tells her not to consider, because the third option is the option of an operative who has crossed the threshold from agent to fugitive, and once that threshold is crossed it cannot be uncrossed. She considers the third option. She considers it for the duration of 2 streetlights. Then she remembers, without effort, without surprise, with the precise clarity of a thought that has been waiting for permission, the journalist she met at a conference in Geneva 3 years ago. The encrypted application. The contact information she has never used. She leans forward and speaks to the driver for the first time. Change of destination. Incheon Airport. Departures terminal. The driver does not turn his head. My instruction is to deliver you to the facility. Your instruction has changed. The facility will be informed. The driver makes a calculation. He has no authority to deviate from his instruction. He also has no authority to detain an operative against her will without a direct order from the handler, and the handler has not given him such an order. He turns the car east at the next intersection. Nkechi takes her phone from her vinyl bag. She opens the encrypted application. She composes a single message to a contact list of 1. The message contains no text. It contains an audio file. The audio file is 16 seconds long. It is an excerpt from a recording Nkechi captured in the service corridor at 9:47 p.m., while the boss was 7 minutes into his confession, an excerpt she did not transmit to the agency server, because she made the decision, in real time, to retain a single piece of evidence outside the chain of custody the agency would control. The excerpt contains the boss's voice. The boss's voice is naming a senior official in the agency Nkechi has served for 6 years. The senior official's name is the name of the woman who recruited her. The senior official's name is Okonkwo Adiz. The message sends. She sets the phone down. She does not look at it again. She watches the road. In an office somewhere north of the city, Okonkwo Adiz sits at a small wooden table with a glass of water in front of her and waits for an operative who is not coming. Her phone buzzes. She does not check it. The phone buzzes again. She checks it. She reads the notification, an automated alert from the transport division indicating that the vehicle assigned to her operative has deviated from its assigned route. She reads the alert. Her face does not change. She picks up her phone. She makes a call. In a town car somewhere on the perimeter of Neo-Seoul, Park Tae-gun receives a call on a number that has been in his phone for 9 years and has rung exactly twice in that time. He answers. He listens. He says, in English, "I understand." He hangs up. He sits for a long time without moving. The instruction he has just received is to intercept and detain the woman he watched walk out of the dining room 90 minutes ago. The instruction has come from a person whose authority Tae-gun has acknowledged for 9 years, from an account whose existence he has never questioned, in exchange for compensation that has paid for his sister's medical care since 2016. The instruction is operational. It is funded. It is enforceable. It also contradicts the only instruction the boss gave him before his arrest. Tae-gun looks out the window of the town car at the city passing in the cool morning light. He thinks about the small house in Lagos. He thinks about the daughter he has never seen and the message he was asked to deliver. He thinks about the boss's eyes when the request was made, and about the smallest possible nod he gave in return, and about the weight that nod has carried for the last several hours. He thinks about the woman in the back of the black sedan. He thinks about the recording she just sent, because the call he received was not from his original employer, and the voice on the phone was not the voice he expected, and the person who called him just informed him that a recording has surfaced naming his original employer as a syndicate asset, and that the original employer is, as of this call, no longer in a position to issue or fund instructions of any kind. He gives the driver a new address. The new address is a flight school in the Western District, where, in approximately 3 hours, a small private aircraft will be available for charter. He chooses Lagos. The town car turns west. In the back of the black sedan still heading toward Incheon, Kechi receives a notification on her phone. She reads it. The notification is from the journalist she contacted 42 minutes ago. The notification contains a single sentence: recording received. Authentication in progress. Federal contact made on your behalf. You are safe to travel. Nkechi reads the sentence 3 times. She lowers the phone. She looks out the window at the morning beginning to lift over the city she has lived in for 11 months. The sodium streetlights are still on. The first commuters are visible on the periphery of the road. A coffee vendor on a corner is opening a metal shutter. She is safe. She is not who she thought she was when she entered that room last night. She is no longer in the employ of the agency that recruited her. Her brother is alive. Her handler is, by sunrise, going to be in custody. Her career, the career that organized 6 years of her adult life, has just dissolved. She does not know what comes next. She knows, with the clarity of a person who has just been given back the question of her own life for the first time in 6 years, that what comes next is hers to decide. She leans forward. She says, to the driver, "Cancel Incheon. Take me to Gimpo." The driver does not turn his head. "You have no flight booked from Gimpo." "I will have one by the time we arrive." The driver makes the calculation. He has been told, by a federal investigator who called him 3 minutes ago on an emergency channel, that the operative in his back seat is now under federal protection and that her instructions are to be honored. He turns the car south. The car moves south. She opens her phone. She books a flight to Kuala Lumpur. The flight departs in 3 hours and 40 minutes. She is going to find her brother. She does not yet know what she will say to him. She does not know whether she will tell him that the syndicate he served extracted him from a death they had themselves orchestrated. She does not know whether she will tell him that their family was told he was dead and that her career was built on the architecture of that lie. She does not know whether she will tell him about the recording, or the agency, or the woman who recruited her, or any of the operational facts that have, in the last 7 hours, restructured every aspect of her life. She knows that she will see his face. She knows that he will see hers. She knows that whatever comes after that moment will be the first thing in 6 years that she gets to choose. In the underground room, the boss is the only one still seated. The lieutenants have left in stages, making their respective calculations and acting on them. The bodyguards have followed. Tae-gun left when the call came, with a single backward glance at the boss, and a single nod that contained a promise and a betrayal in the same gesture. The boss is alone. The wine is gone. The bottle is empty. The lights are still warm. The chandelier still casts its golden bouquet through the air conditioning that maintains 63 degrees with mechanical indifference. He looks at the chair where Tae-gun sat. He looks at the chair where Yoo-min Jae sat. He looks at the door through which the waitress departed. He understands, with the same lucidity that has carried him through the last hour, that the woman who took everything from him is now being protected by the institution that aimed her at him, and that the man he asked to find his daughter has just been freed from the operational instruction that would have prevented him, and that the daughter, Adunni's daughter, whose name he does not know, whose face he has never seen, will, perhaps, learn that her father thought of her on the first day of every month for 276 months. He closes his eyes. By 3:11 a.m., federal agents enter the underground dining room through the entrance that has, for the first time in 11 years, been left unlocked. The boss is still seated at the head of the table. He does not stand. He does not resist. His hands are flat on the polished wood. His expression is composed. He is looking directly at the agents as they enter, and his face holds the precise expression of a man who has finished what he was doing and is now ready to receive what is coming. By 3:47 a.m., Kwon Sung-Adara is in an interrogation room. He is looking directly at the surveillance camera. He says, in clear unaccented English, addressed to the camera and to whatever institution will eventually review the footage, the operative who recorded my confession tonight is an embedded asset of the agency I am about to identify. Her cover name is Yoon Hee-jin. Her real name is... He stops. His voice catches. For 1 second the surveillance footage will preserve, and that the analysts who later review it will pause and replay 17 times before continuing. The most disciplined man in the Pacific Rim hesitates over the act of speaking the name of the woman who destroyed him. Then he continues. Her real name is Nkechi Solen Yoon. She is the sister of an operator named Marcus Solen Yoon, who is currently residing in Kuala Lumpur. She does not know that her handler, Okonkwo Adiz, has been compromised by my organization for the last 4 years. I am providing this information not to harm her. I am providing it to ensure that someone with the authority to act on it knows that she is being hunted by people who have been on my payroll for longer than she has been with the agency. The recording she produced tonight will dismantle my organization. The recording I am producing now will, I hope, dismantle the apparatus that hunted her into the room where she produced it. I would consider that an acceptable conclusion to the evening. He looks away from the camera. He waits. 3 days later. In a federal holding facility, the boss receives a handwritten letter delivered through a chain of custody that will be the subject of a separate investigation. He reads it. The letter is short. It contains 4 sentences and a name signed at the bottom in handwriting he has never seen before but recognizes with the immediate, devastating clarity of a man who has waited 23 years for this exact piece of paper. He reads it twice. He folds it. He places it in the breast pocket of his prison shirt, against his chest, where he will keep it for the remainder of the time he has left in this world. Park Tae-gun delivered the message to a small house 3 blocks from the harbor in Lagos. The daughter answered the door. He did not say much. He did not need to. He gave her the boss's request, in the words the boss had not been able to find on his own, and he left the house without waiting for her response, because the response was hers and not his and never would be. He has not returned to Neo-Seoul. He does not intend to. In Kuala Lumpur, in the warm late afternoon, 2 figures sit at a small metal table outside a cafe on a street whose name will not appear in any record of this story. The viewer cannot see their faces. They are leaning toward each other. They are talking. The conversation will take years. What she said to him in the first 30 seconds will determine the next 10 years of both of their lives. The narration declines to tell you what she chose. You already know what you would have done. The most dangerous person in the room is often the one no one is watching. Tell me honestly, what would you have done? This story is finished. But the question it leaves in the room is not. Because at some point between the first pour and the last, between the moment that glass was lifted and the moment that door closed, something shifted. Not just in the story. In the way you see a room. In the way you see the people holding trays and opening doors and standing quietly at the edges of conversations that were never meant for them. Most viewers will close this video and return to underestimating those people tomorrow. They will walk into rooms and see furniture where they should be seeing intelligence. They will dismiss the quiet ones and fear the loud ones and wonder later how they never saw it coming. But not you. Not after this. Subscribe to this channel. Not as a gesture. Not as a favor. As a decision. Because every story told here is engineered to make you harder to fool, harder to manipulate, and significantly more dangerous to underestimate. The people who leave without subscribing will keep watching the world happen to them. The people who stay, the ones who choose to keep seeing clearly, they become the ones the room never thought to watch. The choice, as always, has already told us everything about who you are.